To talk a bit more about this shock move, let's bring in Anthony Mills in Vienna. Anthony, this is really a fall from grace for Kurz and a shock to Austrian politics. What more can you tell us?
It certainly is. He is a man who dominated Austrian politics for years, first as an up-and-coming shooting star, as a state minister, and then as a foreign minister, very present in the media, and then as chancellor, winner of 2 elections, and a reverser of fortunes of the People's Party, leading them to the heights of #1 in Austria, and governing the country with a strong presence and the following of a large number of Austrians. And then, as you say, those allegations, and initially it appeared as though he would stay in place as chancellor to fight them. But what appears to have happened is that the powerful governors of the various provinces in Austria who support any chancellor, no matter how charismatic needs, that they basically behind the scenes said, look, it's time to step aside, at least for as long as these allegations are being worked through by investigators and potentially prosecutors. And it appears then as though life outside the limelight was not something that this politician wanted. He said at the press conference that his motivation for leaving politics was the birth of his young child just a short time ago. And he said that changed his perspective on things. He also said that he'd lost motivation in recent weeks and months. He painted himself very much as the victim in what was quite a long press conference, saying that he'd always seen politics as a forum for the competitive exchange of ideas, but that instead he'd been, in his words, hunted. No apology there for any elements of this situation. Instead, he said that he waited with pleasure his day in the limelight again in terms of defending himself against these accusations. He said he was confident that they would be proven false. But in the meantime, here is the man who once dominated Austrian politics, many people thinking that he would dominate the country for years to come, stepping aside, giving us a kind of a review of all his years in politics, and effectively leaving a gaping hole in Austrian politics and at the core of his very own party.
Indeed. And many conservatives had actually thought it would be his successor, Alexander Schallenberg, who was just a sort of placeholder until Kurz could clear his name and return. But that's not happening. So what happens next, both for Austria and for Kurz in regard to his legal battles?
Absolutely. Word of the year in Austria is shadow chancellor. That's the word that immediately emerged when Sebastian Kurz said that he was stepping aside as chancellor to take on the mantle of head of the People's Party. And many people thought that in the coming months, possibly even years, he would stick things from behind the scenes while the former foreign minister, Alexander Schallenberg, ran the country basically akin to a puppet. That appears to no longer, if it ever was, be the case. There are enormous challenges, though. The problem is that after Kurz resigned, within days almost, certainly within a week or two, the fortunes of his party in the polls again reversed, this time into negative territory. The party polling by some standards below the Social Democrats again for the first time since Sebastian Kurz took over the party. And some people think that maybe that has something to do with the fact that Alexander Schallenberg never really cut a figure as someone who wanted to be chancellor. So although he has experience as foreign minister, he never really came across as someone who was going to rise to the occasion. It's not entirely clear who is going to take on that mantle in the hopes of reviving the fortunes of the People's Party, because in the shadows lurks the far-right Freedom Party, erstwhile coalition partner of the People's Party, and slowly gaining in support again, not least because of their opposition to Austria's pandemic policy, and the policy, of course, stated by the government, led still by Sebastian Kurz's People's Party to get everybody vaccinated by a national law. So the dangers lurk on all fronts. The People's Party has slipped rapidly in the polls, and the challenge ahead is to find someone who can take over the government and hopefully revive the fortunes of the party in the view of the party stalwarts, as it were. So there is some suggestion that maybe it's the Interior Minister, Karl Nehammer, who takes over. He cut his teeth as Interior Minister, among other things, with the terrorist attack in Austria just a year ago or so. He's a very imposing figure, a large fellow, and many people think that he would, at a minimum, cut a more imposing figure than Alexander Schallenberg. But not entirely clear at this stage what exactly is going to happen. There is a meeting, as Sebastian Kurz said in that press conference, that is being planned for tomorrow, I believe, or the day after. And presumably we will have some clarity after that meeting. Sebastian Kurz was at pains to say that he believed that there was plenty of talent inside the People's Party, even in his absence, keen to say that he doesn't embody the whole party. Now, finally, there is as well a feeling in some quarters that although he's departing now, this may not be the absolute end of Sebastian Kurz, the politician. If the charges are not proven, who knows? Maybe we will see him come back.
All right, Anthony, thanks for that. Anthony Mills there giving us that update from Vienna.